John, let's jump into some of your stories, some of your stories of,
Okay.
I guess, what you would call mistake or failure. I don't know if you've ever quit or not. Definitely want to hear that if you've ever done that. But yeah, jump into some stories and share us some of your wisdom.
Gosh. Okay. I certainly have made 1,000 mistakes. Stupid, stupid mistakes. Uh, One that I'm really embarrassed about. I spoke at an event in front of 3,000 people, where I was supposed to pitch my product at the end, and was so nervous I forgot to even mention it. So I flew to Florida, spoke at the event, never said a word, and came back home. So that was a big mistake. Left a lot of money on the table, certainly from that. But sometimes making the mistakes is like knowing, when to quit, right? Like, so if I think failure is quitting, sometimes that's okay. Like, it's okay, to fail at it if it's not the right thing. So for an example, I one time spent about, I don't know, 7 or 8 months building a website and creating content for it, and this whole subscription service for the real estate investing industry. And it was great, and I had worked really hard on it day and night for 8 months. And the week before we were going to launch it, I was riding around with my wife, and she said, "You don't really want to do this, do you?" And I was like, "No, I don't. I really don't." And so she says, "Well, what is it you would like to do?" And so I was telling her about this other project I'd like to do, and I decided right then that weekend to scrap what we were working on. And I was so motivated by the other project that we had it up and running in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So I took taking me 8 months, to do something that I hated and didn't like, get it ready to launch, and decide to pull the plug and quit, to then turn around and get what I wanted to do up and going in 2 weeks. Really taught me a lot. So when I evaluate opportunities now, they kind of run through this little checklist of, is it fun? Does it move me closer to my goals? And is it something that, I'll be excited that I did long after, I even did it. And that one project didn't fit any of those. So
Yeah.
I ended up having to quit it. And so I think that's the thing, is sometimes we're afraid to admit that we maybe made a mistake or went down the wrong road or had a bad idea or whatever it may be. And we're too scared, to keep moving forward, or to stop and shift directions. And you have to be, as an entrepreneur, you have to be flexible, and you have to be ready, to make those adjustments. And like I said, too often we're just afraid to admit that we failed.
Um, yeah, that's a good lesson. How do you feel like? Did you feel like you were willing to admit that at the time, or were you hesitant?
No, I had no problem admitting it. I think that, for me, when you make a decision like that, you have to be all in, right? Like, so the moment I decided I'm quitting this project and I'm going to start this one, you know, there was no time to focus on being embarrassed or upset or explaining why I quit that project. All the passion and energy was focused on getting the other one going, and why it would work, and why I was excited about it. So I didn't really have any time of being upset or feeling bad about myself or anything like that, because I just, any energy that would have taken would have just been a waste. So it's just a matter of shifting on to the new thing that I'm excited about and keep going.
Water under the bridge. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be. I mean, I think that you know a big flaw that I see, sadly, every single day with entrepreneurs is that they focus so much on every mistake they make. Every little failure, every mistake, every error, they dwell on it and they stress about it, and they cry about it, and it like ruins their day, it ruins their week. They're devastated. But then they'll go out and have like one little piece of success, and they're just like, "Oh, that's great," and then they're on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And it's like we spend so much time and energy, talking about and thinking about the times we screw up,
Hmm.
that we're not rewarding ourselves when we actually get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. So that particular story I was telling you, I just looked at it like making that shift was the right decision. So I was more rewarding myself for doing the right thing than beating myself up about wasting 8 months on a project that I didn't care about.
Yeah. So there's some huge positive psychology in there that you really have to. I mean, for a lot of people, especially the competitive nature of entrepreneurs, really train themselves to, uh, you know, flip that switch and be like, okay, on to the next thing. Yeah, I messed up. Now let's move on. You know, it's not productive to destroy myself over this, and when I can be putting that effort towards. So that's big, and unfortunately, that's something very difficult if because once you get sucked down into that hole, it's just like it's hard to climb out.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly easier to focus on negative things than it is positive. And sadly, like we're just sort of wired that way as humans. But it's the same thing, you know, Lee, if someone speaks at an event and five people can come up to them and say, that was great and that changed my life and you were a great speaker and you were entertaining, got a lot out of it, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then one person comes up and they're like, I didn't really care for that, or I disagree with you. That's the one that everyone focuses on.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like instead of just paying attention and, you know, caring about the people that care about you and got a lot out of it, you know, you're, you know, stuck on that one idiot that, you know, didn't get it and didn't like it. And that's just frustrating. And so I think too often we get caught up on those negatives, you know, and that then just paralyzes us and keeps us from moving forward.
Yeah, there's something called I'm gonna mess up the name. It's cognitive psychotherapy or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
And it's like this. It was developed by some guy, I think, that was finding another solution to combat a therapeutic solution for depression, but that it's just been spun, like it's kind of like this 3-step thing that's been spun off into things that applies to this greatly, because it's you know, we have the first step is, you know, beating ourselves up. The second step is overgeneralization, so like blowing it up, and then the third step is then whatever, like self-degradation and, you know, just wallowing in it kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So being able to sit in and like it, and it's really cool if you look it up. It's the discipline of the red flag, I guess, is how I view it, of catching the fact that, okay, it's not necessarily, you know, I need to focus on the good things, not the bad things or whatever. It's I need to catch myself when I start to think about the bad things.
Yeah.
Recognize and then replace with a better thought. So that's really a big deal, and that it's really an internal thing that entrepreneurs should take time to develop that.
Yeah, you're right, Lee. I mean, it's the key to success. I was actually having this conversation with a mutual friend of ours, Travis Robertson, last night, where I was telling him that, you know, if there is one secret ingredient to success, it's your mindset.
Yeah.
You know, if your mindset is right, you're going to be right. Your business will be right. You will be successful. If your mindset sucks, so will your business. You know, and that's just, there's no other way to put it. And so you have to spend more time working on yourself than you do your business. Yet most of these entrepreneurs spend more time reading, you know, marketing books and going to, you know, marketing conferences and, you know, trying to figure out the latest, you know, technology that they need and, you know, the latest trends and those things. It's like none of that really matters. If your head, you know, isn't right, you're going to keep sabotaging yourself. I used to do that all the time. I held myself back from success for years because I was full of self-doubt and, you know, no confidence. And anytime I had success, I would, you know, find a way to just, you know, not enjoy it and knock myself down a little bit. And, you know, it's that attitude. It's like, you know, every entrepreneur I know that's really successful, when they're presented with a new idea, they think of every reason it will work rather than every reason it won't.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like every entrepreneur I know who sadly is struggling, you know, if you give them an idea, if you try to help them, you know, they're like, yeah, but it's like, you know, no, stop. You know, you're killing yourself right there. So I'm glad you brought that up about the mindset, because that's really it. That's what it's all about. You know, at the end of the day, if you're not thinking right, it's not going to happen for you.
So back in that time where you felt like you were really sabotaging yourself, what can you think of, like, you know, what that turning point for you was, where you kind of, you know, the light came on?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't know. There's a few little turning points. I don't know if there was like one big one. I was certainly got to a point where I was aware that I was sabotaging myself. I knew the struggles that I was having, and I knew if I could just conquer that, I would have success. My wife saw it in me years before I saw it myself. You know, so she knew and was able to kind of help me and, you know, tell me what I was doing and those kind of things. And so that really, we'll say was the first light bulb or the first trigger of, okay, I need to work on something here. Then as time went on, I think the biggest light bulb was just I finally got tired of it. I finally got frustrated of it, because what would happen is I would see, competitors of mine go out and become really successful and capitalize on opportunities that weren't coming my way. And I was frustrated because I knew that I had more experience than them. I knew I had more knowledge than them, and that was like devastating me. And finally it went from devastating me to pissing me off. And I was like, all right, here comes the motivation. Now, I'm sick and tired of it. You know what I mean? I was tired of being screwed up in the head and struggling. So it was just a bit of that. Certainly it helps when you surround yourself with people who believe in you, and, have it, hanging around the right kind of people in the right environment, was another little light bulb or a little turning point, because I found out that I had some support from some of the biggest names in my industry. And it was like, wow, if they believe in me, then shame on me, for not believing in myself, and trying harder and, doing more. Yeah. So it was just a series of those little things. But I guess if I had to just say one, it was pretty much just getting fed up with it.
Yeah.
I was just tired of struggling.
Note to any of John's competitors: if you want to compete with John, just make him comfortable. Whatever you do, don't piss him off.
Right, exactly. Well, because it's so easy to doubt yourself and to then never take action, yeah. Right? And without taking action, you're never going to get any kind of result. So it doesn't matter how great your idea is. If you got that $1 million idea but don't do anything with it, it's a $0 idea.
Yeah.
You have to take action. And so that's what I was doing, Lee. It's like I would have these ideas and I would think, hey, that's pretty good, but never have the confidence to actually implement it. And then 6 months later, I see someone else do it and see it work. And I was like, oh, I just felt gutted. Yeah. And I just finally got sick and tired of that and thought, man, what if? What if I just acknowledged that I had the self-doubt but still kept going forward anyways? What would happen? And that's when things really started to turn.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I got to say that again, because that's great. Just regardless of, and really you just define courage, which is huge for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, look, and I still struggle with it. I still have self-doubt.
Yeah.
There's days I'm on top of the world and think, I'm on my game. And there's other days that I'm sitting here thinking, what am I doing? Why am I even trying this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why did I do that? So I still struggle with it constantly. The difference is being able to still take action even though it's there and not wait for it to go away. I may wait the rest of my life for it to go away. I don't want to do that, right? I don't have that kind of time. Yeah. So yeah, it's just a matter of acknowledging, okay, wait a minute. I lack some confidence. There's some self-doubt there, but what if it works? What if I acknowledge that this is here, but I still go ahead and try my ideas out? What if they work? What if I'm successful?
Yeah.
And that's, well, go ahead.
I was saying, if it doesn't work, it's not like you're any worse off than if you just never tried in the first place.
Right. Yeah, you're exactly right. And I see people who are like, in a job, they're in their 9-to-5 job and they're scared to get out of that job, to go into business for themselves, but that's what they want. And I'm not telling anyone to go out and quit their job or anything like that. You have to protect your family and take care of them. And first things first, put food on the table. But I'll ask people sometimes, it's like, wait a minute, okay, if you don't ever try it, 5 years from now, you're going to be still stuck in the 9-to-5 job and you're going to be miserable. 10 years from now, you're still going to be in a 9-to-5 job and be miserable. 20 years from now, it's all going to be the same thing. So what if you tried it and it worked? If it doesn't work, you're just going to end up in a 9-to-5 job and be miserable. But that's, the path you're already on.
Yeah.
So, you don't lose anything, but at least you'll know, at least you'll have tried.